11/26, January 22nd. It's a Bridgeley Church that I go to for the last year. Been there about 5 or 6 times in 1 year. But now I've just been 2 Sundays in a row, and shall be going every single Sunday unless there's some very, very, very valid reason I can't make it, and then I will look at the online sermon. That's what my friend Colleen said to me to do. She says, get into the habit of, if you can't get there, read the sermon, but every Sunday get into the discipline of being in fellowship. So I'm doing that, and it feels really, really good. I'm very, very, very happy about this new habit. And that's the police just going past. So funny, that guy driving that car is the guy that I did an interview with. And it's interesting, very compassionate. I've noticed that the police in general in Northern, so far my experience is that the police in Northern are some of the most compassionate, kind, considerate people I've ever met. Well, they must be amazing people, because as police, they're amazing. And my experience is I've been sexually assaulted by police. I've been physically very badly hurt by police. I've had some pretty terrible experiences in my life with police. Sorry. And being in Northern's really healing my journey with police, because I've actually got a pending court case coming up in that building over there, and I'm really looking forward to it. And it's really interesting because today's sermon was about casting the first stone. He who has no sin can cast the first stone, being caught in the act. So, the Ferreros and all the people that was trying to they were trying to entrap Jesus. They were trying to show him, because it was the old law, Moses' law, which got the scribes added all this extra stuff in it. In the Bible, they added lots of extra Leviticus and Deuteronomy. I'm still learning about the Bible. They added all this. These scribes added extra stuff to the original laws that God gave to Moses, and these laws were based on fear, basically. So there are those of us that say, well, the Bible, what is it to follow when it's being added to so many times and sort of not corrupted, but even in, like today in church, the pastor very, very clearly stated that the first laws, if you go back to the commandments, if you look into the additions that happened after the first commandments, then you can see where the fear got put in, or what was taken out that was really important. So this is really interesting. The more you learn about the Bible, the more you realise it really is God's word, but as they say, there is parts in the Bible that have actually been interfered with and adapted and changed for worldly ways. The big gang of motorbikes. No, I shouldn't say gang. I shouldn't call them a gang. It's just a big group. They must be on like some sort of group ride. I found that interesting today when he says the Pharaohs and I can't remember what else they were trying to entrap Jesus. So there was an injustice, there was a situation where a lady got I was in what was it, John 8:28. Sorry, John 8:28, I think it was. John 8, 1 to 8. Basically, Romans 8:28, and John. I've got all the numbers written down. Basically, what actually happened was this lady got caught in the act of adultery, right? And then she got brought in front of everyone at the synagogue, naked, like no clothes on. And then they bring this lady to Jesus, going, "What do you do with this lady who's been caught in the act of adultery?" And he basically stooped to he wouldn't answer, and they go, "We demand an answer. Give us an answer. What should we do with her?" And then Jesus stoops to the ground and starts drawing in the sand, writing in the sand. And the Pharaohs get more and more insistent. "Answer us. What do we do with this adulterous woman?" Because the law was stone to death those who do all these different sins, right? And adultery was one of them, right? And the entrapment part of it was Jesus, if he had said, "Yes, stone her," then I would have said, but Moses' law doesn't say you kill. It says, "Let the accuser be the first stone thrower." But Jesus basically didn't answer, and then he goes, "Let those who have no sin throw the first stone." And there's a very likely the co-conspirator, the man that this woman was having an adulterous affair with, was probably in the crowd, and maybe this lady even got set up. We don't know the full story, do we? But what we do know is that it takes two to have adultery. So where was the man, and why was he not put up naked? So Jesus was obviously aware of that, and he basically said, "Let those who are free of sin throw the first stone." And they all started to leave the synagogue, and then the only person left there was Jesus. And out of all those people, the only person that was free of sin that could throw the first stone was Jesus. And he says, I can't remember the exact words, sorry, but "I do not condemn thee, you walk free." And so the naked lady obviously left and got dressed, and basically what it's saying is, if you are free of sin, then you can cast a stone. But as Jesus did, if you're free of sin, why would you cast the first stone? Why not just be in a place of love and kindness? And we're talking about authentic love and kindness here. We're talking about genuine, authentic compassion and kindness. Not the sort of empath, people-pleasing based kindness and generosity that people like me have been living our whole life, like, I must be kind. No, not must, but I am kind, I will be kind. I want to be a voice of kindness for the world, a voice of compassion for the world. I want to help heal this world by, this and this and this and this and this. So I've been coming from a stance of deliberately working at turning the other cheek and forgiveness and all sorts of stuff, but underneath there hasn't been proper, true, real forgiveness, or proper, true, real compassion, or proper, true, real deep sort of empathy, because I've been in denial of my very underlying, deep-seated shame and lack of forgiveness for myself, and actions I've made and choices I've made from a very early young age, like probably from 2.5 up and stuff. I haven't been able to forgive myself for certain choices that I made as a child growing up, and so that causes shame, which then leads to an emphasis on a persona of acting and being a certain way. So one of my biggest sins is that I have been pseudo-kind, and pseudo-compassionate and pseudo-forgiving, and I've been doing it on some level, but I've been doing it to get a payoff of some sorts. What's the payoff? To sort of give myself a story that, not that I'm better than others, but that I'm making an effort to be the best that I can be, that I'm making an effort to contribute and give to this world in a big way. Like, bravo me for being so, you know, an angel of peace and God and kindness. And I used to call myself an angel of peace or an angel of love, all right, because I used to think everywhere I go I just want to create peace and kindness and love, and I want to help heal and help. It's actually 12 o'clock in the middle of the day right now. It's bloody hot. And also my phone's getting hot on my hand. But I just wanted to do this video as I'm walking home because, you know, I just left the church and I thought, yeah, no, I'll share what I learned at church today. And also when I get home, I just really want to get on to the painting the kitchen and not get too caught up in Facebook land just yet, or my YouTube land just yet. I'll do that when it gets like tonight. Now basically I'm learning from that article I watched this morning, Kenny Weiser's article on how to forgive a narcissist in 25 minutes. And the main way is to really look at what was it in the other that we end up deciding was what was causing the most damage. And usually that is the part within ourselves that we haven't been looking at, and we attracted that particular person to show us our deep underlying areas of where we've been in denial. And that, you know, we can equate that to sin, if you like. We can use the word sin, denial, sin. What are we in denial of? Okay, well, that element is potentially our sin. What did we do? And then we lack forgiveness for ourselves, for how we've treated ourselves, and that becomes the shame. And that shame and that denial become our maladaptive, codependent personality traits, or maladaptive personality or character. I've still got to learn which one's one you can't change. Personality or character. I don't know. I have to learn about the exact difference between those two, but it becomes like those maladaptive defense mechanisms actually become a very big part of our persona, like what we put out in the world and what we show ourselves to be. So, you know, obviously I chose to go down the path of being kind and considerate and loving and generous, and thus people pleaser, toxic empath, and you know, and in that dynamic, I'm just trying to work out where there's more shade, and I think it's on. There's spotted trees on both sides. Look, in that persona that I was creating, I was surviving. I was doing my best to survive, and I didn't want my cruelty to come out. I didn't want my anger to come out. I didn't want my rage to come out. I didn't want to be an abuser or a perpetrator or do any hurt to others or inflict any. I always wanted to. I thought, oh, I understand that trauma so much that I want to ensure no one else has that traumatic experience. Or I understand that trauma and that pain and that anguish and that particular dynamic so much that I really want to help that person release it and move forward. And yes, I had done a lot of amazing work on myself. Yes, I acknowledge how amazing I am for what I've achieved. You know, growing up, being force-fed drugs, LSD, you know, as a toddler, to be used as a child prostitute. Like, growing up with, you know, a mafia drug lord father who used not just my mother but me and potentially my brother. I don't know, but I don't think so. I think it was just me and my mother. But, you know, to get money for his drugs. And, you know, all the other stuff that happened, you know, like I'm about to walk past this person's house, so I might cross over. You know, having a mother who's potentially autistic. Well, she's not assessed. She's assessed for something else that she doesn't think she is. I think it was not manic bipolar. It was something she knows she's not that. I can't remember what they labelled her as. So my sister and I tried to get her assessed when she was in her mid-50s, I think she was, and my mother she got assessed, and she was sort of okay with the outcome, but at the same time she went, no. So she's just like, whatever, poor darling. So she's still not diagnosed properly, but at least she gave herself permission to realise that she was not atypical, and I think that helped her release her. Look at this cute house. I love it. Isn't it beautiful? But yeah, I think that gave my mother permission to forgive herself for where she wasn't able to be the mother that me and my brother needed. And then my siblings, got a bit of a better mother in some ways because they had me as a big sister. Temperature too high to use camera.